What is going on, guys? This is, oh my God, look at that lighting. Stop. That's better. What is going on, guys? This is Garrett from RUNAMUCK MMA, and today, ladies and gentlemen, I am bringing you my coverage of Dana White's Contender Series 35 that just happened this Tuesday, November 10th. I am going over this at 11 o'clock. And yes, I said me, myself, as you have probably already noticed by now, my cohort, partner in crime, pretty much just my gosh dang old buddy Lincoln is not going to be joining us for this episode, really this session of recording that we usually do on Tuesday nights. We usually have a recording session every Sunday and Tuesday night, and unfortunately he's not going to be here tonight. He has had some busy stuff that he had to do. I said, you know what, man, go ahead, take yourself the night off, just do whatever it is you got to do, and I'll handle all the stuff we got to do tonight. So tonight's stuff is going to be pretty quick. The Contender Series that took place tonight was pretty not was pretty just kind of like your average run of the mill fight card. And nowhere was that more apparent than the first fight we had with Danny Santabello versus Taylor Moore, which opened the card. And of course, with Danny Santabello, I believe, having all these different awards, a very decorated wrestler, he came in there and was able to pretty much just from start to finish dominate. I believe Taylor Moore pretty much all the way with nearly, I believe, over 14 minutes of control time. That's pretty much almost the entire fight, which I thought was fucking insane because Taylor Moore has some wrestling pedigree of his own. He has some skills in that department. However, Santabella said, fuck all that shit. I'm saying Santabella. It's I believe it's Santabella. Excuse me. Sorry, the MMA junkie. Sometimes I get all their stuff mixed around here. That's why I have two different articles pulled up. So hopefully I'm not the one that's saying it wrong. But it is Sabatello. Excuse me. So it's Sabatello, who is unfortunately did not get his contract at the end of the night. That was something that I thought was a little ridiculous to say the least. But then again, I'm not UFC brass. However, the thing that was just look at this, almost 14 minutes. It was almost 14 minutes. I said almost 15 minutes. That is not what happened. But yeah, look at those stats. This kind of just caters into the idea that Dana White and the UFC brass, like if you go to decision or if you wrestled the entire fight, you will not get a contract. And it sucks to say that because that's how that's how this guy fights. That's how a lot of guys like Sabatello fight. Is they wrestle, and it's not like he wasn't working the entire time. He was, as you can see, 159 ground strikes for 15 minutes of fighting, was pretty much able to work and pressure the entire fight without being forced to stand up. He got a few slams in there. He even got a few submission attempts in there. The guy was dominant. In even this post on Twitter by the UFC claims he was extremely dominant. So it's one of those things where at the end of the night, when he didn't get the contract, Dana White said he was one dimensional. He didn't see enough he didn't see risks being taken. At the end of the day, I can see the argument there. I can see what you saw, but to me, I saw such a high level uh, skill in grappling and wrestling that I think would have been perfect for UFC's bantamweight division. And I'm still kind of just perplexed. But at the end of the day, I get it. He wasn't, jaw-droppingly exciting or anything like that, but he won. Unfortunately, to get his contract. Moving on, we had Luna Pinheiro versus, let me go ahead and just pull it up here with some of these pictures here from the previous bout. As you can see, it was mostly just grappling. Here we go. Pinheiro versus Frostow, Stephanie Frostow, who was 8-7. I was surprised that she even really made it on the show, but that's what happens. And then Pinheiro, who, if I'm not mistaken, oh my God, hopefully it'll show you here. Pinheiro, I believe, trying to look up the record that she had going into it. I believe it'll show me right here. Yeah, 8-1, obviously very powerful. Came in with a pretty impressive KO. The fight started off pretty slow. This is obviously the finishing shot right here. That is the punch that did it on Frosto. But I definitely didn't expect this fight to go the way it did. Even Dana White seemed like he didn't expect the fight to go the way that it did, which was kind of slow at first. Nothing was going. And then all of a sudden, Pinheiro blitzes Frosto and just hits her with this crazy wide left hook, lands. Wasn't the finishing shot, though. It sets up the finishing shot. She comes in with that right hand, hits it right on the button, and sends Frosto pretty much to the ground and finishes her, gets the ground and pound strikes, and ends up getting the contract, which it just kind of goes to show you the stark contrast between how one fighter can completely dominate with just his wrestling, go all the rounds, get a unanimous decision, and then when it comes to this fight where nothing was really happening, but then all of a sudden there was a blitz, boom. We didn't really see, and here's the thing, Pinheiro is a decorated judoka. She's great judo skills, and we didn't even get to see that. We didn't, in my opinion, we didn't get to see enough of her. But according to Dana White, he's willing to see what other skills she has in the UFC. Basically, she got the contract because she knocked a person out. Well, hopefully that doesn't come back to bite her in the ass. I mean, she's for a strawweight, yeah, she's got that power. 8-1 is great too, going into the fight. So really, I guess it's just kind of like one of those things where I'm not salty about it. It doesn't bother me. Congratulations for her. I mean, obviously, how many times have we seen that happen? I guess I'm still just kind of like perplexed how someone like Sabatello in his dominant performance can be put away, and Pinheiro, who you could argue to an extent had a dominant performance, but got a contract without a second thought. Just saying. Yeah. So moving on, we had fight of the night. Pretty much, if this was a regular card, fight of the night, Nicholas Motta versus Joe Lowry. This was the best fight of the night, in my opinion. Nobody got finished, but the fight as a whole was without a doubt absolutely stunning and amazing. And kudos to both men. Joe Lowry, I have to say before I talk about the winner, Nicholas Motta, Joe Lowry, God dang it, dude, I tell you, it really gets me when I'm just like, wow, that's a tough son of a bitch right there. Because I mean, the guy comes in, he puts up a hell of a fight. It's not just completely one-sided. He keeps the fight competitive. He's getting his ass kicked. He's getting beat up. His nose gets fucking broken at one point. But I mean, look at this. This shot right here is the definition of even matchup. I mean, the two guys were just going at it, tip for tap. And I mean, there were plenty of points in the fight where Motta would come forward with a flurry, but then Lowry would bounce right back with a flurry. Lowry almost got put away in the second, but something happened with Motta. I guess he kind of like stepped off. Now I didn't view it like that. But that is kind of what happened. If in hindsight, that is kind of what happened. He kind of backed off, and I'm not exactly sure why. Keep in mind, Motta also came into this with, I think, if I'm not mistaken, 5 days notice. 5 days notice. Yeah, if I just read this article, but I'll show it right here, and of course I'll leave the links to all this stuff in the description. Yeah, but anyway. I think it was some kind of shit like that. It was some kind of short notice. I could be wrong. But I think that's what I heard. I'm probably hearing it wrong now that I think about it. But Nicholas Motta has been involved with the UFC before. He was on the Ultimate Fighter season of Brazil. What was that? It said right here, Brazil 4. So yeah, 4th season of that. But now I guess he didn't make it very far, and now he is going to be getting his chance in the UFC thanks to his performance in Contender Series, and he did great too. But keep in mind, because he did take this on such a short notice, his killer instinct wasn't there, according to Dana White. I think it just kind of comes down to, I think that's in a way that's almost undermining Joe Lowry, and like I said, Joe Lowry put up a hell of a performance. Guys, really, really, really tough. Really, really, really tough. I mean, he took kicks like this right to the face and didn't fall down. He got knocked down one time in the fight, and I think that was in round number 1, I want to say. So yeah, so Joe Lowry kicked ass. Nicholas Motta kicked ass even more. Glad to see that guy get a contract, and glad to see him sticking up for himself in his interview after he got his contract, saying that he just needed the time to be able to really prepare for the fight, and next time he fights, which will be in the UFC, that killer instinct that Dana White's looking for is definitely going to come out. So good to see that. Good to see that happening. And then we had Santana versus Levi, the only catchweight bout of the night, because this was the fight that was taken on 2 days' notice. I don't recall who Santana was going. We're doing this live. We're doing this live. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Santana was. It doesn't say who he was set to fight in this particular instance, but Nathan Levi was, as you can say right here, taking the fight on 2 days' notice, which is crazy. And so obviously the fight had to put a catch weight. He's fighting a larger opponent, and Santana unfortunately could not utilize his largeness, so to speak. He had greater reach. He had some bit of a weight advantage. Unfortunately, he could not take Levi out. And this is coming from Santana, who's a guy who pretty much I believe six victories of his. I have to look at his record again. Excuse me. Yeah, all 6 victories of his, I believe, come by way of submission. So he is a grappler. He's got that experience. He's got that skill. But Levi was able to submit him in the 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. I know I sound like a raving lunatic, but that's what happened. So sorry. But yeah, if I'm not mistaken, that was, yeah, in the final round, he secures this triangle choke, excuse me, right here, and actually puts Santana completely out, completely unconscious. Here's a close-up of it right there. Santana was trying to do the right thing. He was trying to clasp his hands together and really kind of just push his arm against the head of Levi and trying to create some space. Unfortunately, Levi is just an absolute powerhouse and was able to, I don't want to say from start to finish. Santana had some good moments of his where he got the back, got a good body triangle at one point. Unfortunately, Levi just kind of stopped any amount of progression and was able to put Santana on his back, put him completely out cold. And of course, Nathan Levi got a contract, and we're all looking forward to see what he can do standing up in the UFC. So good on that guy. And here we have what I guess you could call the most controversial fight of the night, with Mario Souza versus Mariusz Kisaj Kivish. I'm just going to call him, apparently his nickname's the Iron Pole. I'm just going to call him as such, or Mariusz versus Souza. So Souza and Mariusz, they came out and they fought each other, and you could kind of see that this was it was weird how this went down. Okay. So basically, as you saw, Mario Souza won the fight. Dana White thinks Mario Souza shouldn't have won the fight. And I don't know. What do I think about that? And what I think is, I'm not angry about the decision. I think, if you were going to give somebody the win, I guess that's fine. There are certain things that I noticed. Like, for one thing, I thought he was beating Mariusz on the feet. I thought that was pretty clear. Anytime that they stood up, I think he was kicking his ass. I think that Mariusz obviously had the most takedowns. Almost every time he went for a takedown, he got that takedown. And that obviously that speaks volumes about you as a wrestler, about who you are. But I will say, though, that for me at least, I didn't see anything other than that. I didn't see anything other than the takedowns coming from Mariusz. Souza, on the other hand, like I said, was beating him on the feet, and even when he got taken down, he was still attempting to keep it competitive. There were a few moments, obviously, throughout the fight where it was more of like a stall or something like that, or really nothing was happening. They were stalemating a lot. Referee Mark Smith had to stand them up at least once, if I'm not mistaken, but was constantly giving them warnings. Especially aimed at Mariusz. And this is where I'm thinking Mariusz could not put could not put his takedowns to effect in the sense that he couldn't make any kind of progression with them. He couldn't do anything with the takedowns. It wasn't until really pretty much the very tail end of the fight that you see right here, he attempted to go for a heel hook, which at that point in the fight, if he had got it, a Hail Mary heel hook, that would have been great. That would have been one of the best comeback stories of the night. Unfortunately, it wasn't very secure. It's according to Michael Bisping commentating the fights tonight, who was also referencing Boss Fruiten, UFC legend, that it's a very low success submission. There's a very low success rate for heel hooks. But then, Mariusz switched to a reverse. And potentially, if he had gotten that would have been, according to Michael Bisping, one of those kind of heel hook submissions you have to tap to. Now, it's at the end of the day, like I said, Mariusz couldn't really make any progress. And Souza, I actually want to give him a lot of credit for the stuff. He was fighting from his back almost the entire fight. And he was getting some submission attempts in there. A couple of triangles, a couple of arm bars that he was trying to pull off. But I think the biggest and most identifiable aspect of his game was the hammer fists. I mean, the hammer fists, it's so rare to see really brutal swings coming from somebody on the bottom. Because obviously you have no power if you're trying to punch somebody. You have no power trying to elbow somebody from the bottom. That's really, really hard stuff to pull off and actually do damage. However, hammer fist is a whole different type of where the power comes from. It's all about just the swinging of the fist. And he got some great hammer fists in there, so much so to the point that it kind of is part of the reason Mariusz couldn't do anything. And I thought that was really impressive. There were a couple of times where he was able to reverse position, get in a favorable position, top position, like as you can see right here. So at the end of the day, I'm not mad that he won. Actually, I thought he was going to win no matter what. There are obviously the controversies that could go along with the fight that are outside of the overall decision victory, and that being the very blatant elbow that was delivered by Souza after the bell of the first round. I mean, it was almost a complete second or 2 seconds after the bell had sounded. He delivered an elbow right to Mariusz. But luckily, he didn't get a point taken away, which usually that's not what happens. If you hit somebody after the bell, you don't get a point immediately taken away, especially if you think it's an accident. Like, you're in the heat of the moment, the adrenaline's pumping. You don't fully register everything that's going on. So Mark Smith didn't take a point away, which, happens. But yeah, so I think at the end of the day, he gets his he didn't get the contract. And that, again, I don't think he deserved the contract. Not necessarily because I didn't think he deserved to win the fight. I think it was just because he had definite holes in his game. He was slowing down at certain points. He couldn't do enough in the grappling exchanges to keep the fight standing or, reverse the positions enough to be able to get somewhere with it. And like I said, he was already starting to gas out by the third. So yeah, and again, that elbow strike that's really hard to get over personally. But we've seen so many other, crazy after the bell strikes where people didn't get any points taken away. Jermaine Durandamy versus Holly Holm. But that being said, I think that's actually going to do it for this vlog episode of the Contender series. Again, sorry Lincoln couldn't be here. I know you guys really like mine and Lincoln's commentary, our back and forths we have. But luckily, I hope, he should be here for the next week's video. And next week, ladies and gentlemen, is, I believe, the last week of Contender Series Season 4, which is sad. I'm really sad to see it go because it just came back, and now we had this card that was kind of on and off in terms of quality. Last week was such a banger that this week I kind of feel spoiled. So next week I hope we end the night, that night, just great, perfect, whatever. So I think that's going to be it for this video. Make sure you guys stay tuned for all the other stuff we got going on this week. And yeah, I'll see you later. Bye.